Could you please let everybody know who you are, unless they already know?
Why, I'm the Toxic Avenger.
Fabulous. And Mr. Avenger, could you tell us why you're here this evening?
Of course, we're screening the classic Class of Nuke High here.
Fabulous. Anything you want to tell us about this exciting feature?
Get traumatized.
I'm scared already. Tell me who you are and tell me why you're afraid to mess with a mop.
My name is Asta Paredes, and I play Chrissy Goldberg. And, Toxie cleans things up with that mop, and it's not usually, sanitary. It's usually very bloody and messy. So I didn't want to mess with the mop. But, yeah. I'm in Return to Nuke High, which is a sequel to Class of Nuke High, which is showing here tonight at Videology. And it's a revisiting about 26 years later, so it's really exciting to be part of the tradition.
Absolutely. And what was the most exciting thing about this feature? When did you, I guess I would first ask is, when did you first see the Toxic Avenger and what was your thoughts on it?
Actually, the first time I saw Toxic Avenger was on set of Return to Nuke High, when a bunch of us who were not hardcore Troma fans, but becoming Troma fans, were like, we should watch all the Troma movies because we're about to be part of this legacy, so we should see what we're doing. And I remember we just kept going, every 2 seconds, the head crushing scenes and everything. So I love it. It's a classic for a reason.
And what would you say about Nuke High? How would you relate that to your own high school experience?
It's very accurate. I grew up in Texas, so people are very oppressive and kind of messed up. So it's very similar to Tromaville in that sense, which is why I got my inspiration for my character in this movie. So,
any secrets you want to let us in on?
In Volume 2, I do use a mop as a weapon because I'm a huge fan of Toxie as the Chrissy Goldberg. Currently I am in between things and I'm working on a play in New York. And then I have to go right back to Tromaville to shoot more for Volume 2. So that's kind of the exciting stuff.
And Toxie, how do you feel about the Swiffer?
Mops are clearly better than the Swiffer. Doesn't clean up crime like a mop.
Yeah.
Well said, well said. Thank you so much for that.
My name is Katie Cochran. I am the star opposite Asta Paredes in Return to Nuke High. I play her lesbian love interest.
You changed your haircut a little bit.
Yeah, I actually I'm growing it out now as opposed to the movie, which was really short.
Yeah.
So
beautiful. I like the facial hair too.
Was the haircut a hard decision for you?
No, I actually talked to my spiritual advisor, and she said that the stars are right for it to be a short cut.
Yeah. And, maybe indulge a little bit more in life.
Yeah,
have some spaghetti.
Exactly, it's nice because on the set it was very, very meager living. So I only had 3 meals a day. Had my own room. Yeah, the jacuzzi just was not the right temperature at all the time. So,
Would you say it would be the right temperature to grow something else in?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to get Cleo online right now and see if she can tell me, but
yeah.
It's just not happening.
He's going through this big Zen phase right now. I'm sorry, she. Did the operation go through yet, or are we still?
Not yet. All the PayPal, but I had a Kickstarter for it.
Yeah,
It hasn't all come through yet.
We're rooting for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much for your honesty and frankness this evening.
It's nice running into you again, Katie. I love those days we had on set.
Great.
You haven't changed a bit. I'm Clavon Karlowitz. I play Eugene in Return to Nuke High. I am, you guys interviewed before me, Asta Paredes. I play her boyfriend in the movie before she realizes she's not really feeling me, and she falls in love with a girl who's named Lauren, played by Cochran. Tonight we're just bringing it back home. It's like a big cycle. I submitted through Backstage, it's in an online service. I went in, I told a story that was based on this slasher movie I was writing at the time, and I told it in the first person, so I scared the hell out of the people at Troma, and I didn't hear from them for a few weeks, and I thought I wasn't going to be involved at all, and I had a crisis of conscience. I thought I'm a terrible sociopath person. I won't ever do anything with them, and then they called me. They came, they had me come back, and I was going to be a cretin, and then they decided to write this boyfriend character, which was Eugene. Originally had 2 scenes, and then they let me improvise, and the character just kept becoming something. And I'm still not quite sure what that something is, but certainly the character is tries really hard to get people to like him, and but keeps getting knocked down, and so, but the underdog story is the story of Troma. It's the story of Lloyd Kaufman. So happy to help with that and get his message out there. And tonight we're showing the original class of Nuke High, which is kind of connecting everything back together. We're paying homage. We're acknowledging where we came from, and I mean, I love that movie. It was the first Troma movie I ever saw. When I was researching this movie, that's what I watched, and it's a great movie to watch with a crowd, especially if they're drinking or they're high.
So tell me just a little bit more. You said this is the first horror movie you ever saw. I won't ask when, but tell me, what was your scariest moment?
Oh, okay. Well, this was my first Troma movie. The first Troma movie I ever saw was Class of Nuke High. I'm actually a lifelong horror fan. I watched The Exorcist and Halloween when I was 4 years old. Child's Play as well. I was traumatized. But
Explaining the sociopathy that led to your employment this evening.
Exactly. I've always had a bit of darkness underneath, but it wasn't until much later that I was traumatized. And I think that there was always a little bit of trauma inside me. A little bit of that freakish nature.
And are you hoping there's a little bit of trauma inside all of us?
Yes. Oh, that's why you guys are here. So if you don't know it yet, you will after tonight.
Thank you very much.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, James, for the light.
Oh, you're very welcome.
In the original Class of Nuke High, the hero and romantic couple, Chrissy and Warren, and in the Return to Nuke High, Chrissy and Lauren. And thank you so much to Asta and Katie for coming here to glamorize and to make this a really great evening. Thank you to Eric and Videology. And are we going to have a Q&A or something?
Yes, we are.
Very good. Thank you. And I guess, is there any other way to set up Class of Nuke High? Matt Mangerides, producer of Return to Nuke High, right here in the room. And doing volume 2 now of Return to Nuke High. The only thing I guess I should say is that back in the day of Nuke High, when we were writing it in 1985 or 86, they were building a nuclear power plant right next door to New York City, Shoreham. And it wasn't enough that the conspiracy of labor, bureaucratic, and corporate elites, boy, am I boring, but I have a huge ego, so I'm going to keep going. It wasn't enough that they were sucking out money with this huge contract to build this nuclear power plant. They were using crappy cement, drunken labor, and this was discovered. And eventually they stopped building the thing and dismantled it. But we thought that would be a good theme for a movie. And that really is the germ of how Class of Nuke High developed. It was originally another project, but we, thanks to Gary and Rick and James, we made it extremely uncommercial and put in a pretentious political, sociological theme.
Did the birth of Occupy Wall Street, I hear?
That's right. That's right. You guys,
The actual birth of
that's right. You were the original. Anyway, I should shut up and well, thank you, Eric Lewis, for having this wonderful, wonderful place. And anyone who's in Long Island City, come by and visit Matt Mangerides in his native habitat, and you can meet with Jack Narrow Kellaway. All right, thank you. Class of Nuke High, Troma!